Are you tired of your old raggedy, beat-up, bifold or trifold wallet that after a while doesn't even resemble the same shape it was when you bought it? Well, I bet you never thought you'd actually ask for a wallet for Christmas, but I guarantee you'll want one of these under the tree. Not even just for yourself. The Ridge wallet is the perfect gift. The Ridge offers their flagship wallet in a ton of different styles and colors, as well as other products that range from everyday essentials to on-the-go needs. When gift shopping this year for yourself or someone else, you can't go wrong with a quality product that's built right. If you'd like to check out the Ridge's products, which come with a lifetime warranty, you can go to ridge.com/gilly and use the code GILLY to get 10% off your order with free worldwide shipping. Link in the description. Aside from the video I did on the Crash demo a couple months back, I haven't really been doing any of these shorter form opinion pieces, and I do want to do them from time to time, so that's what I'm gonna do, so here we go. Okay, so, new Super Lucky's Tale. It's taken me about a year to get to this game, but I finally played through it, and I've got a few things to say. First off, this game has escaped me for quite some time. From what I can recall, half a decade ago when the original Lucky's Tale was first unveiled, it was being marketed as a throwback 3D platformer built from the ground up for VR. Personally, I didn't really get it. And I guess many other people didn't really get it either, because to this day I still don't think I know anybody who's actually played the first game, and it probably doesn't help that VR isn't exactly the most accessible platform to release a game on. Super Lucky's Tale, on the other hand, the sequel title, ended up being Playful Studios' answer to that issue and was a straight-up traditional 3D platformer released for the Xbox One. When that game launched, I figured that was the perfect time for me to jump in and see what it was all about. And, well, that still didn't happen. Weirdly enough, Lucky's Tale had been on my radar for years, but despite that, I just never brought myself to actually play it. Fast forward a couple years later, and a deluxe version of the game called New Super Lucky's Tale was released for the Nintendo Switch, and it was finally time for me to get my hands on it. And then I didn't play it for another year. Well, now I finally played it. And after getting through the game, I think my main takeaway has to be that this is the perfect game to play while you have other stuff on in the background. This may sound like an insult, but I assure you that's not my intent. Let me explain. Do you ever feel like you need to choose between playing a game and doing something else? Maybe you want to play a game, but you also want to do something in the background, like listen to a podcast or something. In the case of super narratively driven games, this is kind of a difficult task, and oftentimes not giving a game 100% of your attention will take away from the experience, especially in a game that is cutscene and dialogue heavy. Or maybe it's a game that requires a lot of concentration on your part and you need to only focus on playing. In these instances, you're usually left with something like puzzle games or fighting games or really simple platformers. You typically want something that you can sink your teeth into while also not having to dedicate all of your attention to it. New Super Lucky's Tale is the perfect balance of simplicity and difficulty that is conducive to, well, doing other shit while you're playing. Hey, real quick, if you like the video, consider subscribing. It's honestly shocking how much of a difference it makes when you guys subscribe, so if you want to see more, make sure to click that button so you can see when I upload. And that's all I gotta say. On to the rest of the video. So onto the topic of the game itself, it's a 3D collectathon platformer. I wouldn't call it a full-on collectathon in the same vein as something like Banjo-Kazooie, but a lot of collectathon DNA is in there. It's actually a nice mix-up of straightforward 3D platforming stages, 2D stages, explorative sandbox stages, which happen to be where I think the game shines brightest, and extra puzzle minigames to earn some of those collectibles I mentioned. The game isn't very long at all, maybe only like 6 hours or so, and upwards of 10 if you want to go for completion. Aesthetically, it's exactly what you're seeing right now, no surprises. It has a really pleasant cartoony art style that for the most part plays it really safe, although there are definitely some standout areas like Gilly Island. Don't say it. One thing I definitely need to praise are the bosses. The bosses in this game went above and beyond what I expected them to provide. Judging by the rest of the game, I was thinking that the bosses would be quite bland fights that just required me to bop a giant enemy on the head, like Boom Boom from Super Mario. But the bosses in New Super Lucky's Tale are actually pretty engaging and all require certain criteria to beat. There's actually a good amount of pattern memorization and quick reflexes required for most of them, and some of them even do that thing that I love when bosses do. I can't for the life of me figure out how to eloquently explain what it is, but you know how in the original Donkey Kong, you need to strategically remove parts of the stage in order to make DK fall to his grave? Or in Donkey Kong Jr., where you have to climb to the top of the chains and insert each key into each slot to defeat Jumpman? that kind of boss fight. Quake 1 did it too with Chthon. Well, in the case of Super Lucky's Tale, this boss, for example, requires you to flip a series of switches. Whatever that is, that's the shit I like. Now, the controls aren't super twitchy or precise or weighty. They're actually a bit floaty, but overall, they feel relatively good, and I think they work just fine. Ultimately, the game is designed around the physics, so the movement is never any kind of issue. I just think the movement could have been made a little more fun, if that makes sense. Kind of like how Mario 64's movement was designed to be enjoyable on its own before they designed the stages. Now, the puzzles are actually really fun too. They're basically a slide puzzle where you need to align these lucky statues on the correct spaces by maneuvering the pieces properly. At first, they were super simple and I didn't think much of them. I figured they were gonna stay easy the whole time, but once I got a few worlds into it, they ramped up in difficulty and actually got pretty challenging. Like I said before, I think this game shines brightest in its sandbox stages. They're all decently sized and packed with collectibles and secrets to find. It's not easy to pull off sandbox level design and have the stages actually be interesting or fun to explore, but I think they nailed it here. Definitely a major highlight of the game, and I'd love to see a Lucky's Tale game centered entirely around this type of level design. If I had to use one word to describe this game, it's safe. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but I honestly don't think every game needs to be some revolutionary masterpiece. Sometimes iterative fun is fun. Sometimes you just want to play a good game. And that's exactly what Super Lucky's Tale is. It's good. If you like 3D platformers, and especially collectathons, you will enjoy this game. I don't believe for a second it's gonna blow anyone's minds, but it's not like we have a ton of 3D platformers to play, and if you've never played it before, I can easily recommend it. It's a decently fun, relatively short-lived good time. If you watch this video before playing the game, you will not be disappointed, but you also will not be incredibly impressed. If you're anything like me, you'll leave the experience satisfied and maybe just a bit charmed. New Super Lucky's Tale is a solid effort, and it is good.